It is December 20th, 2023. We're here on the rooftop of the property located at 3720 Zola in San Diego, California, 92106. So we're going to go ahead and inspect the main sewer line. We found one clean out cap that was an old cast iron to brass plug. Looks like it's never been opened in the lower level kind of basement kind of mini crawl space area you can stand up in, where the water heater and HVAC unit is, and on the wall that gets closer to the building, we don't know what exactly it starts at what point. We're assuming it's off the hall bathroom, which is what we're at right here on the rooftop. And so here we do have the original 3-inch cast iron vent, which will lead directly into the beginning of the sewer main. Probably gonna have a lot of cobwebs and debris here, so we'll see if it sheds off. If not, we'll pause this and pull this back out to wipe off that debris. Looks like we've got some toilet paper or some paper product that might have been flushed down the line that hasn't completely gone away here. So push through this kind of quick to make that sweeping turn. We've got some debris right there that looks like roots. Yeah, you can see some of the little debris right there. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video for 1 second while we go ahead and just flush the toilet one time to clean off this lens just a little bit more. But all we've done is made the initial 90 on the run, and looks like there's roots already getting in, so that means that the cast iron pipe unfortunately is cracked and broken, and or all the hubs that the cast iron is connected to, those are all compromised, so it's the same problem either way. So we're going to pause for 1 second. Okay, so you can see all the roots immediately on the upper left and right hand side of the cast iron pipe. So we're going to push through the line here and try to determine which way this line is running. I believe the entire portion of the house is essentially on slab. I don't think there's a crawl space at all for any portion of this system. And so those are all roots, so the line is compromised there. Little bit lining the walls, you can see still on the left and right hand side there. Yeah, little ones just growing everywhere. So there's a lot of T-junctions on a sewer line, so you can reline pipes. However, you have to drill out all the T-junctions for whatever spots you don't dig up. So it becomes a complicated process when it's at the very beginning of the system, unfortunately. So sometimes you can maintain the line, clean and rip them all out, and then use foaming chemicals to help kill them, but you don't know how bad the cracks and breaks are in the line that are going to hold together as you keep having to hydrojet, snake, or chain knock the roots out of the system. But that's always an option rather than trying to dig up and replace or reline areas that are compromised. So we don't have any roots in here. We can't see any visible cracks or breaks. That is the issue with cast iron. If you do go to dig this up and repair the pipe can be so weak and fragile, it'll just start cracking and breaking and never find anything good to tie into. So we have a T-junction right here. We suspect that this could be the other bathroom that we're headed across, actually headed towards Zola possibly. We assume we're going to have to make a right turn at some point, possibly to go down the hillside, but we're going to leave our camera right here for 1 second, and we're going to get that other toilet flush to see if this is the entry point for the other bathroom, or if it's another junction from kitchen, laundry, or a clean out of some pathway. Okay, the real estate agent's going to flush the toilet for us. Yep, there we go. So that is in fact what we thought was the toilet for the, I guess we can call it the master bath, dumping into the system. So with the angle and the distance we're out, we figured that would be it. We just wanted to verify that. So essentially, we've headed from the beginning of the sewer system, which is the hall bathroom, across and picked up that master bath, we'll call it. Past that is the laundry, to the left side, kind of, and then to the right is eventually the kitchen. So we're not sure. Here's a turn right here. So here's that right turn we had mentioned we thought we might see at some point in the system. So push through this. The cast iron is still, again, open and relatively round here, not tons of deposits or scale. So other than the roots that we found at the initial entry point into the system off the hall bath, we haven't found any issues with the main sewer yet. Beyond that, everything still looks good and functional. That could be the kitchen line dumping in right there, possibly. That might be a T-junction. Kind of hard to see. We're going to go ahead and pause the video again just to go ahead and see if this is a T-junction. It appears to be an opening on the line. Now, it could be a clean out that was put outside the foundation of the house. Sometimes they'll put an initial one, the builder, even though this is at an angle, it still could be that, a two-way clean out. And usually you don't bring them to surface. It would have been for test purposes and etc. But we're going to pause 1 second to see if this is the kitchen dump in. Okay, the real estate agent's going to turn on the cold water in the kitchen for us so we can see if the water's coming in from this spot or before or after this at all. So we'll see here. Yeah, there we go. There's the kitchen line. So it is in fact the kitchen line, like we suspected. We can kind of see some of that brown, light tan debris. That's fat and grease that has lined the pipe from years of it dumping into the system. So we kind of assumed that was the kitchen. So looks like we're headed straight out towards the street itself here, this dead-end street. So we'll continue straight across here and see what angle and path and distance we're running. Looks like there's a buried clean out possibly right here. This is that one two-way clean out we were mentioning. So we can kind of see the curvature to the pipe opening up right here. So this is the one we mentioned that we sometimes find outside the foundation, and that's there. And then it looks like right after that it transitions to clay pipe. So from this vent you can see we're about 57 feet out to that clean out. We'll locate that and mark that, but we're going to continue down the line, of course, first to see if there's any issue with any of the clay pipe or if we find some additional clean outs. But yeah, that's a clean out right there. And here's the transition to clay. We have some roots growing in on the left-hand side. We also have some wipes in the lines. You can see that white paper product on the left, also where the roots are. You cannot flush any paper product other than toilet paper down a sewer system. Doesn't matter if it's cast iron or plastic or clay. They do not dissolve and break apart. So no wipes, not even flushable, of course, not going to make it through the system. So we do have a small root intrusion right here where the cast iron is ending and the clay begins. Again, there's that clean out. So we'll push forward here. There's those roots. We'll locate all of this. And then we've got more roots right here where somebody did put in a clean out. So we do have a clean out of ABS that we didn't notice. Unfortunately, they did a poor job of making the connection points with their seal band from this clay to ABS, because we have roots already growing in this repair that was done, adding in cleanouts. And then you can see we have more roots growing in past that. So it appears to be a clean out. Yeah, we can see a vertical riser there. So it was a very bad repair, needs to be dug back up and fixed again. Otherwise, the whole purpose of the clean out landed up causing 2 more root intrusions. So we're going to go ahead and just look past this before we move to ground level. We have a bunch more roots here. This is what we expected. There's a lot of trees and vegetation in this area, and with clay pipe they're very susceptible to roots, unfortunately. The pipe typically is not going to degrade. It doesn't very easily crack or break, so it can last the lifetime of the next ownership, no problem. It doesn't have to be relined. It can be maintained. A chain knocker or hydrojetter can rip all the roots out, and then you can use a foaming chemical, just like we mentioned for the cast iron by the toilet, to maintain the line if you don't actually want to fix the line by repairing it, replacing it, or relining it. But we do have some issues here that will have to be addressed. So let's continue down the line here, and there's a bunch more roots right there, as you can see, and pretty heavy. And there's looks like there's maybe some wipes wrapped around some of that as well. So we're going to pause for 1 second to go down to the ground level and see if we can determine that clean out is visible, that we didn't notice earlier just walking around the property somewhat. If not, we'll locate it. We're going to try to expose that clean out if it's not brought to surface that we just missed, so that we can go ahead and continue the inspection from that point on, because we may have a very long distance possibly till this dumps into a city connection point, although we still expect it to be possibly, hopefully, in the middle of this street here and not farther away. But we're going to pull back through these root intrusions and this clay pipe to the clean out that's right here, so that in case it's not exposed, we can go ahead and locate this with our equipment and pinpoint it. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so this intrusion we left off at, we're going to go ahead and with the running water get past this to see. There we go. There's some small roots there. Yeah, we're going to run through here. There's some more roots we can see right here. We're just trying to get out to the city right now, so we're pushing kind of quick, and we'll just get there, and then we'll stop. There's more roots there, which we expect. Okay, looks like we do have a stop. Yeah, this is our dump right here. So luckily there's the city right there at 95 feet out. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so we have gone and located this spot for the prospective buyer. This is right in this little gully where the one driveway that's to the left side of the property has a little collapse in from the big grade change up from where the big tree is. And so that's right here where this is about to make the turn. This is also, as you can see, where we still have roots intruding in the line, so it has to be cleaned up this whole distance. Again, if you have to go from the rooftop here, if the clean out is not brought to surface that we found, then yeah, you'd have to use a hydrojetter. You're not going to be able to use a chain knocker, and you can't snake the roots out completely out of the line. We have a 3-inch entry point. We have a 4-inch pipe. So snaking the line, you're not going to remove all of them, and I literally mean all of them. When you do hydrojetting and chain knocking, it fans out with water or carbide chains, and it will rip them out from edge to edge around the full circumference everywhere, and that's the process you want to do to remove all of them. And then you can use Robic foaming root killer, spelled R-O-E-B-I-C, Robic foaming root killer. You can buy it at Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart.com, Amazon.com. And one little bottle, it's only about 22 bucks or so, and it treats 25 feet of pipe. So you do have to buy multiple bottles depending on the entry point from where the roots are. So we're going to pull back on the line since we had water running. So again, there's intrusion right there at that hub. Those are cobwebs on the top of the pipe right there. There's roots at that hub right there. So basically every hub has roots growing in. There's some thicker ones as we pull back, as we know, and the ones like we just passed that are on the top and top side walls aren't going to be an immediate issue. It's the ones on the bottom of the pipe and bottom sides that need to be cleaned out before somebody really starts moving in, living here, because it can lead to a stoppage really, really fast. It will clog and obviously bind up paper, feces, and other debris pretty quick to cause a stoppage. So there's that intrusion there. That intrusion there. We should be coming back to that really large one that we passed through right there, which we kind of opened up a little bit, it looks like, unless there's one more ahead of us here. Our camera, with the pushability and water running, we kind of cleaned out possibly some of those wipes and debris, and that's exactly what we did. We actually cleaned out this one that was really thick and heavy here. Not so much the roots, they might have moved a little bit, but we cleaned out all those other wipes and paper debris that were dammed up pretty heavy there. So we back up here, we're going to double check the depth of the pipe at the clean out that was installed, which again also has bad intrusion, so we're really going to recommend that be redug back up. Otherwise that has to be cleaned and maintained in both directions. So if they didn't put in a two-way clean out, which is a T-junction that goes in both directions, which you're really not supposed to do, then you've got no way to go in both spots to clean that, so you'd have to try to go from the rooftop. So there's the end of that clean out. So if this clean out is a T that sweeps away from the line, directional fitting, which is what you're supposed to use, you're supposed to have two of them. So we should have seen a longer distance of this black plastic pipe, one T-junction sweeping away and one sweeping into the house, and they did not do that. So we can't tell from here if this is an illegal two-way clean out, which is literally like a straight up and down T-junction, and you have to try to steer your equipment. They're not allowed in California on the deep horizontals like this, because when it's backed up with water, you have no idea which way you're going, and you can't see that you're steering the right direction. But anyway, there's the second intrusion at this spot where the cleanouts were put in. So we're going to go ahead, and again, they did have the original clean out right here also. There's that wipe and those small roots, like we mentioned, at the end of the cast iron right here. There's that clean out, the vertical rise. So we're going to go ahead and locate and mark these and get the depth readings. So right here at this clean out, which is the end of the cast iron before it turns into this clay and has roots, we're going to go ahead and see where this is at and how deep this is. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so we've gone ahead and located and marked this on the property. So right outside the walls foundation of the house, there is a tile walkway, and that is where this pipe is under right here, where the cast iron ends, where the original clean out was installed at the end of the cast iron before we transition into this clay. The pipe is 2 feet 10 inches deep to the bottom of the pipe. It also happens to be underneath in that tile walkway. There's a little area drain grate, so it's not a real diggable area. If the landscaping out there is all going to be redone for some reason, then you could dig all the way back to this area. Again, you do have this small intrusion here that'll have to at some point be maintained. Doesn't need to be really cleaned yet. It's not that thick or heavy. That would have to be done again only from when the other clean out is either brought to surface, if it goes both ways, or if it's dug up and redone and two are put in. So we did get about 3 feet in depth when we located the first time this clean out right here. So we're going to double check this right here. So we're right underneath the middle of this where that T would be. So we're going to go ahead and leave our camera here. We're going to pause and relocate and mark this T. Okay, we pushed even into the clay. We wanted to double check the depth. We were getting closer to 3.5 feet, and we verified by pushing forward some more that in fact we are getting quite deeper. So even though we picked up closer to 2 feet 10, a few feet back from the area, the grade change is minimal, but the pipe's got some really decent slope. In fact, we're looking at our camera here. It's much past the 2 degrees, which is the 1/4 inch per foot. So we picked up again in this plastic pipe to the bottom of the pipe, closer to 3.5 feet deep. We've marked this with in the asphalt, which is obviously got a lot of dirt around there with a large circle. But we'll bring our camera down to ground level and show these markings for this area right here of these 2 cleanouts that we've gone by, the old cast iron and this newer plastic, and then all the clay roots that need to be cleaned up and maintained by having these access points brought to surface. So we're going to go ahead and pull back now on the line and go all the way back to the toilet area at the beginning of the system that had roots growing in it at the very beginning of the system, right after we came down this vertical vent. So we're going to pull back kind of quick on this. We've seen all this already. We want to go ahead and look at those roots again, and we'll even mark that in the property. There's that T-junction we made for the turn to head towards that side of the house, headed to the kitchen after we picked up the other bathroom right there. So now we'll head back here. So again, we don't see any fine roots growing in the rest of the cast iron. So shouldn't require anything at this point in time, but once we get closer back to this toilet, that's where we got our issue, of course. So here's where we got some roots in the line right here. They're ending essentially. So right here, the line could be completely cracked and compromised up to this point at least. We can see some on the right-hand side there, upper right and left a little bit. So we're going to leave our camera right here. And again, it's not to say that if you were to dig up the pipe that it would be easily cut and connected into. It might all crumble and fall apart. The pipe might be so weak, it's just that the roots haven't grown beyond the points previous from here that we've seen past this point. But we're going to go ahead and just see where this is at on the location within the house and the depth. Okay, we've gone ahead and located this cast iron sewer pipe. It's about 2 feet 5 inches deep under the slab in the bedroom. That's the back side of the wall behind the toilet. We put some marking discs on the ground, and the prospective buyer took some photos denoting the path of the pipe, as well as the ending spot we're at with the camera right here headed back towards the toilet. So as we pull back here on the line, there's those very small, fine roots you can see growing on the top, left and right edges of the system. For quite a few feet here. And then the heavier roots are right here. And then some wipes that were put down. Really heavy roots there. And then here's the turn on the system. So you can see that's where we're now coming back up at this angle and coming back up the vertical vent right now. So now we're headed back up the system. We got water hanging on the pipe, so can't see anything real clear. Let me wipe this off here. So let me go back down this vent here. So this is a 3-inch vent. There's a vent T-junction right there that picks up the lavatory sink. So that little one off to the bottom left that's the vent for the lav. They share this big pipe. And as we go down right here, you can see the paper and wipes that somebody flushed. That's where the toilet dumps into the system right there. That's the T-junction. And then it goes down to get underground. And then after the turn here, that's where the roots start. So we don't have them growing in from the flange. They're just growing in from underground, unfortunately. So again, the pipe has been compromised as soon as it makes this turn at this T underground, and then they're growing from here quite a few feet out. So if the place is remodeled, this bathroom could be redone and this line could be abandoned and run a new path. Otherwise, this will need to be either repaired or maintained because it's been compromised and is failing here. So we're going to go ahead and pause and move down to ground level just to show the markings for the path that we have set up, showing the cleanouts that are underground just outside the foundation of the property. Sick of the fucking bullshit. Okay, so we're now here outside the wall of the house. So here's that tile decking. Here's the SDG gas meter in that little box there. So here you can see somewhat with our shadow. There is the chalk line showing the path of the sewer pipe. So again, it's right about 2 feet, 8 to 10 inches deep to the bottom of the pipe. So the CI denotes cast iron. That's where the cast iron is ending. The R with the circle means roots, and the C and the L right there, that means clay. So all at this spot right here is where the cast iron is ending. Has that buried clean out T. Roots are intruding at that spot, and it transitions to clay, and it heads out, and then that large circular dot on the asphalt is the other buried ABS clean out with roots intruding there, and then the rest of the way out with all the clay pipe and roots intruding. So that concludes the recording for this property.